Okay, we're ready to start our joint meeting of the City Council, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, Public Finance Authority, Public Utility Authority, Housing Authority, Perris Joint Powers Authority, and the Perris Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Perris, this Tuesday, June 9th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Magana,
Here.
Councilmember Corona,
Here.
Councilmember Rab,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rogers, Mayor Vargas.
Here. Thank you. Item 3 is our invocation, which will be led by our Mayor Pro Tem, Councilwoman Rogers. And if you would stay standing for item 4, which is our Pledge of Allegiance, which, excuse me, will be led by Councilwoman Magana.
Dear Lord, we ask you to bless this meeting tonight. We ask you to give the council the wisdom to make wise decisions. We ask you to comfort the families of the 7 people that have died in the city of Perris due to the COVID-19 virus, dear Lord. We ask that you give them comfort and peace, and we ask that you also bless all of the people suffering at this time from that disease. We ask a special prayer tonight for the family of George Floyd, dear Lord. We ask that you comfort his family. We ask that you bless our first responders, from our ambulance drivers to our police force to our firefighters, dear Lord. And we ask that you take care of this city and keep us from safe and harm. We ask all these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 5 is our report on closed session items. Mr. Dunn?
Thank you, Mayor. The council met in closed session to discuss one item of potential litigation listed on the agenda, and no reportable action was taken tonight.
Thank you. Item 6 is our presentation announcements. 6A is the presentation of the 2020 Interwest Community Scholarships. And this will be introduced by City Engineer Stuart McKibben.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Stuart McKibben, City Engineer. It's with great pleasure I'd like to introduce to you Pam Uger, who's the director of the Interwest Community Foundation, and Terry Rodrigue, who is the president of Interwest.
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight. And hopefully you can hear me through this mask. To give us the opportunity to be here tonight and present these scholarship awards to 6 of your young citizens who are heading off to higher education. They've missed a lot of their senior year, as we all know, and they've missed an opportunity to be recognized at the normal events. So I really appreciate City Council's accommodation to let them be recognized here tonight. I want to thank Mayor Vargas and the City Council, your City Manager, Mr. Belmudez, and the Perris Union High School District, as well as the Valverde Unified School District, we worked with them to identify students, advertise the program, and choose these really wonderful students. And without further delay, I'm going to ask Pam Ugar to come up, talk a little bit about the students. I think fortunately, we have pictures of a PowerPoint so you can see them without their masks. And we will say a little bit about the students and award them certificates. And we'll take photographs from here with the council in the background. So we'll all be maintaining social distancing, but give them an opportunity to be seen with the City Council. So thank you again very much. And Pam Ugar.
For the PowerPoint, do I just hit the arrow? Yeah. Like, do I just, or is there a remote? Okay. Okay, thank you. Honorable Mayor and Council, it's so nice to see you all, and City Manager and Clara, it's nice to see you, Isabel, and it's nice to see everybody and be here. I just wanted to say I get the fun part. I actually get to read all the essays, go out to all the schools, meet with all the college, high school counselors, get to know the principals, and really delve in deep into getting to know these students. We had over 25 applications from Perris residents, so that says to me that we did a good job advertising. And the essays, we go through and we judge the essays. We judge them on character, we judge them on depth of what their story is, we judge them on their GPA, but not too terribly, because what we're looking for is we're looking to help those kids who are needing help to get to the next step. The students that I'm going to present to you have had stories that you can't even imagine. Like, I am so impressed with each one of you that you are sitting here, because the items that they've had to go through in their young lives, in their 18 years, have been tremendous. Things that I've never even imagined that I could go through. I feel very blessed that they shared these stories with us, with me, that they trusted me with these tender moments. And it's because of that that we chose them, and we know that they're going to be something someday, and we're going to keep in touch with them because we want to make sure that we see what's going on in our future and these future leaders. The great thing about this also is we typically, for Perris, give 5 scholarships, but I couldn't decide because there was 6 of them that were just so fantastic, so I happened to know the president, and I said, could we get a little bit more money because I've got 6? And he said, absolutely. So I couldn't choose between the 6 of you, so that's why there's 6 this year instead of 5. So without further ado, we'll start with Crystal. I'd like to bring Crystal Moore up, please. She is going to the University of Redlands, and she's going to study business. She's been at Perris High School, and she's the volleyball manager for the boys volleyball team. And she is just steadfast, persevering. I told her mother, I'm just so very proud. You can come up and take a picture if you'd like. I'm just so very proud of you, Crystal. I know your story, and I hope that we stay in touch because I really want to see what you accomplish in the future. Yes, I'm very proud of you, and the City Council and Mayor is so proud of you too. Thank you very much.
Mom, you can come on up and take a picture. Don't be bashful. Wait till I get down there so I get behind it.
Would the council mind standing? Just okay. No, thank you, thank you. Sorry, Mama. Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. Our next student is Delilah Moreno. Yay, Delilah. Delilah is going to Cal State San Marcos. She's a triathlete, soccer, volleyball, track, and a field. I love dogs, and she happens to work at the dog rescue for golden retrievers, which is just such a cool thing for a young person to do, to volunteer their time. She's very diligent, dedicated, and she definitely knows what she wants to do and be when she grows up. So we're very proud of you, Delilah. Thank you very much.
Can you tell us what high schools they're from?
Perris High School, sorry. It's just
Both of the first 2 were Perris High?
Perris High, yes, yes.
It looks like I'm smiling, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Delilah.
I know, I was.
We have next is Deasia Pelsu, and she's from Perris High as well. Fantastic. She's going to California Baptist University. She is a music major. Beautiful. She is in the marching band, color guard, and dance teams. What instruments do you play?
The trumpet, the French horn, the piano, and the guitar.
Wow, 4 instruments. Overachiever. That's so fantastic. I can only just play the radio, so that's about it. And what I loved about her essays is she has done so much and persevered so much and had a lot of hardships, but at the end of her essay, she said she's committed to changing the world one child at a time because people did the same to her. And I think that's fantastic. Thank you for that, and thank you for sharing your story with us. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Okay, we're switching high schools. We've got somebody different. Yeah. Abraham. Orange Vista in the house. There you go. And that mask looks good on you. It looks good. Yeah. Really nice. Abraham is going to UC Berkeley, which is a favorite of our vice president of our company. But that's not why you were chosen. You were chosen because your story was fantastic. He wants to be an engineer. Yeah. So maybe we'll be hiring you one of these days. Yeah. We do that, by the way. We do hire our scholarship recipients because we keep in touch with them. It's not about a check for us. It's about a relationship. So we're hoping that this continues a partnership with the students and their parents. This young man is strong, self-driven mentality. That's what he said. And I wish I could share his story with you, but it's very personal. But he has persevered through quite a lot, and I'm very proud of you. And I've had a really nice time getting to know you via text and phone calls, so I hope we keep in touch. One of the things that hit me from his essays is Abraham said, he believes real family isn't blood. They are the people who have chosen to be beside you when no one else is. And I'd like you real quick to tell us who you brought with you today.
I consider her my mom, but she is Mr. Macy, my 7th grade teacher.
It's his 7th grade teacher who has been a mentor to him all these years.
And I'm sorry, did you say Citrus or Orange Vista?
Orange Vista.
OVHS.
OV, baby.
OV,
That's what
baby.
Thank you too, Abraham. Our next recipient is Itzel Villanueva. And she is going to USC. So, yay. That's where Terry went, so he's a little partial. Yay. She is a STEM gal, so hopefully you'll be one of the folks we hire one of these days too. She went to the USC Ghana's program when she was a sophomore, and she fell in love with USC, and she was determined, and she got in. She is an English as a second language student, but she struggled. She is so interesting. Her essays were so impactful because she came here not knowing the language. She came here to America not having any friends, very little family, didn't understand the culture, didn't understand the language, and she's self-taught, and you're just amazing. And now she has a biliteracy certificate, and she probably speaks English better than probably most of us. So you're just an amazing young lady. Yeah. Now here's the cool thing about her. She wants to get rid of air pollution. She wants to go to college to figure out systems and ways that will decrease the carbon emissions from cars. And and decrease pollution. And I think that's such a fantastic thing because we're going to have a lot of problems in the future. So, with pollution, especially since COVID-19 has happened, you've seen such a decrease in pollution. You probably noticed that. Anyway, so I'm glad we have you with us.
OVHS too?
Yes. I promise I marketed to everybody. But
Thanks, everybody. No, sure.
And last but not least, we have Aaliyah Young. Now, Aaliyah's going to go to UC Santa Cruz and be a banana slug. So, yeah, well, that's awesome. I love their sweatshirts. They're cool. She's so interesting. Your essay made me laugh because she wants to be an emergency room doctor because she loves TV dramas like, Grey's Anatomy and all these like crazy shows where they show all the blood and everything like that. She has just loved that. And so that's where she got her passion for medicine. And so on top of that, she's also a musician. She's in the band and color guard and drum. She's a seasoned saxophonist. So you are just quite an eclectic young lady, and you really intrigued me. So I'm happy to meet you. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you accomplish in the future. And she also went to Orange Vista High, right? Okay. Congratulations. Oh, me too. Me too. Thank you. And thank you very much for having me, and I'm going to pass it back over to Terry Rodriguez. Would you allow us to have the 6 up here at social distance with a picture? Would
Let
you?
us talk about that. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, thank you. May I get all 6 of you, and we'll, yes.
Yeah, and kind of space yourselves. We gotta practice our social distancing. Perfect, just like that. The one on the end can move in. There you go. Perfect.
It's like that's why I got to walk down because I'm so used to just getting up and walking over.
Council, any comments? Councilman Corona?
Yeah, to Crystal, Deasia, Abraham, Itzel, Aaliyah, and of course Delilah. We're also proud of you. For the students that go to OV, it's your first full graduating class. It's just great to see that you guys are doing so many great things. To the Perris High people, I think Crystal and Deasia, I've seen you around. But Delilah, I've known her since a freshman when she did track. So to see her from a freshman grow up to be a nice, respectful young woman, going off and doing some great things. We are also proud of you. Pam and Terry, thank you so much for continuing what Habib was doing and taking it and running with it. It's just so great when people come into our community and want to give back to our young people, especially in a year like 2020. But so congratulations to everybody, and thank you, Pam and Terry, again. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Magana?
Thank you so much. I want to thank you all for coming and sharing these special times with us. There's so much going on that it's just really positive and uplifting to see our seniors be recognized with the 2020 Interwest Community Scholarships. You make us all really proud, and I hope that you reach your truest potential and you come back and serve our community one way or another. So thank you all so much.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I also want to echo the sentiments of congratulations. I know this year was challenging for each and every one of you. You survived COVID-19. You were able to graduate, even though it might not be the graduation you wanted, but you kept focused on everything and you're following your dreams. You all have prestigious colleges that you're going to go to. So the next part of your journey will be even greater. So make sure you enjoy it. You've got wonderful careers ahead of you. Those of you who want to go into the STEM or engineering field, I do believe Interwest will have a job for you. But while you're there, remember, you came from Perris, so please represent Perris wherever you go and make sure that people know where you came from. And I want to thank Interwest for doing this. It's a wonderful opportunity for them to mentor you and to watch your development as you go from a senior to actually going on to being a college freshman. So God bless you all. Enjoy the journey and live your life to fulfill your dreams. God bless.
Councilman Rab, did you want to make any comments?
Yes, I'd like to congratulate the 2020 graduates. You worked hard for this moment. Although you were unable to have the traditional graduation ceremonies, the senior night at Disneyland, all the other things that come with graduating, you persevered. We want to congratulate you on receiving the award. I want to thank Interwest for providing the assistance and continuing on this great tradition.
Thank you. So what's left to say? They all said it, right? So I echo all the sentiments. Pam, so now you know what the city clerk's office and I go through on a monthly basis at Student of the Month. To hear the stories like you're talking about, it's tough, and so for the 6 of you to be chosen for this award speaks high volumes. So as everybody has said, and by the way, it's recorded, so those that Pam made a comment about come back, so it's recorded, so we won't forget that. But I wish you all much success in your future endeavors, and do, as everybody else has said on the dais, my colleagues, do come back and give back to our community. We would really appreciate it. Congratulations. And congratulations to all the parents and supporters that are here too as well. That's the backbone to them, right? Me and Mrs. Young there, we go back a long way when I was a school board member, so it's nice to see it's nice to see the kids come through, when I was from a school board. So anyway, congratulations, everybody. Okay, item 7 is approval of our minutes. 7A is the consideration to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting held on May 12, 2020, of the City Council, Successor Agency, the Redevelopment Agency, and all the entities as listed on our agenda. If there are no comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rogers, second by Councilwoman Magana. Please call a roll call vote.
Councilmember Magana? Yes. Councilmember Kuroda?
Yes.
Councilmember Rab?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rogers? Yes. Mayor Vargas?
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 8 is our consent calendar. Consent calendar items are normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. We do have public comment, which will be limited to 3 minutes. Does anybody have anything we'd like to get pulled?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on item 8P, as in Paul, This is a consideration to award a contract for Morgan Park. And after further discussion, staff is changing its recommendation to reject all of the bids and re-advertise the project.
Very good.
If the council does that, then item 8O would just be pulled for future action.
Very good. So we'll pull P for now, and then O will follow with it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Seeing nobody in the queue. David, you can't jump in the queue. You got anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. All right, so therefore, I'm requesting a motion on all the rest of the items on the consent calendar, everything except for P. And technically O, do I have to say that?
Yes, if the council rejects the bids for Morgan Park, then O is not needed to be acted upon at this time. So
Technically,
I'll
we
just
have,
pull that.
so then we have to pull both.
Yes, sir.
Got it, okay. All right, so I have a motion by Councilwoman, or excuse me, by Mayor Pro Tem Rogers, and I have a second by Councilwoman Magana. Please call the roll call vote.
Councilmember Magana,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Councilmember Rab,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rogers, Mayor Vargas,
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, item P. Is there any further discussion, or we just need to vote?
Mayor, you just need to, the staff's recommendation is to, for a motion to reject all bids and to direct staff to re-advertise the project.
There you have it, so I'll entertain a motion to approve. There, nobody has any questions.
I'll make that motion as stated by the attorney.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rogers and a second by Councilman Corona. Please call the roll call vote.
Councilmember Magana,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Councilmember Rab,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rogers, Mayor Vargas,
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
And I need to do a separate one for O.
Now that you voted on P to direct staff, you don't need to act on O. We'll just bring it back at a future agenda.
Very good, thank you.
And staff anticipates bringing back the Morgan Park at the next council meeting on July 28th.
Thank you. All right, item 9 is our public hearings. Yes. Oh. Should have already done that before. All right, let me open up public comment for consent calendar. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir, we have a public comment for item 8P.
Okay. Even though we pulled it, but that's fine, we'll still hear it. Is this going to be given by Mr. Hale?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we're ready.
All right, this email came in form directed to City Manager Belmudez. I was told to read as follows. Here we go. Mr. Belmudez, thank you for returning my call yesterday. As discussed, we were disappointed to see the City Council agenda that your decision was to reject our appeal and award Morgan Park to Hamill Contracting. To see the facts and reasoning behind your decision was even more disheartening. The facts are the City of Perris is choosing to ignore the standard speculations of public works construction, California Public Contract Code, and your own specifications. Note 40 in the notice inviting bids reads, all applicable state laws, municipal ordinances, and rules and regulations of all authorities having jurisdiction over construction for the project shall apply to the contract throughout, and they will be deemed to be included in the contract the same as though herein written out in full, end quote. I ask again that you look at the facts listed below. The City of Perris let Hamill Contracting submit notaries to the bid proposal after the submission of the bid. This gave Hamill Contracting an unfair advantage, giving them the opportunity to withdraw their bid after reviewing other bid packages as their bid was not valid. The City of Perris is elected to let Hamill Contracting self-perform the grading, concrete and utilities in order to self-perform 51% in-house. This is a flawed decision in multiple areas. Number one, Hamill Contracting listed the earthwork and demolition at 5%, concrete at 6%, and site utilities at 13%, which means they are still subbing out 68% of the contract. which is still not in line with the standard specifications for public works construction. Number two, the city of Perris is ignoring the fact that Hamel listed subcontractors for these portions of work. California Public Contract Code Section 4107 does not allow the substitution of subcontractors after the submission of bid. Number three, this gave Hamel Contracting an unfair advantage to list less expensive subcontractors over the threshold, and then further give them an unfair advantage to bid shop, choosing to do the work with their own forces after listing and shopping subcontractors. This is not only highly unethical, but also contrary to the Public Contract Code. The city of Perris is elected to let Hamel Contracting subcontract with a synthetic turf contractor that did not meet the specifications. The requirement in this section 02999 were very specific, and Sportsfield Incorporated did not meet the requirements. The technical specifications list Hellas, Shaw Sports, and Field Turf as the approved manufacturers. Note 45 in the notice inviting bids reads, all equals shall be submitted 14 days prior to the bid opening for approval. This was not done, giving Hamel Contract an unfair advantage by listing a less expensive subcontractor that was not approved. The California Public Contract Code and the standard specifications for public works construction are not only written for public agencies, but also for contractors. There are rules and regulations in utilizing public taxpayer funds for all public agencies, and they should be followed not only to protect the agencies, contractors, as well as taxpayers. I again ask that you reconsider your decision and give all bidders an even playing field and award the project to Los Angeles Engineering as the lowest responsive bidder. Sincerely, Aaron O'Brien, Operations Manager.
Thank you. Anybody else, Madam Clerk?
That is all.
Anybody else wishing to speak on this particular item? Okay, we will close the public comment. And on the IT on the Zoom screen, it shows City of Perris is not muted, so maybe perhaps that's where we're getting all the feedback. Okay, item 9B. Did I skip one? 9A. 9A is a consideration to adopt resolution number next in order, approving the major modification of MM 19-05332 of TPM 35877 and DPR 0801007 and so forth as listed on the agenda. This will be introduced by our planning manager, Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Give me 1 second here. The slide is not switching. It's not switching. I can continue my presentation, or we just check with IT. It's helpful to see the slides. Okay, let me start over. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The proposed project is a request to modify the original South Perris Industrial Project Site 3, located at the northeast corner of Redlands and Ellis Avenues, that borders the I-250 freeway on the east. The project was originally approved for 4 industrial buildings, totaling approximately 3.2 million square feet, by the City Council on July 2010. That approval is good until 2026.
Mr. Fung, since you're standing alone up there and no one's around you, I'm going to ask that you remove your mask because we can't hear you at all.
Okay, good. That's very helpful for me too. Thank you. Let me start. The project was originally approved as 4 industrial buildings totaling 3.2 million square feet by the City Council in 2010. That approval is good until 2026. The applicant is requesting a major modification for 2 plans known as A and B, involving the reconfiguration and reduction in the numbers of buildings from 4 to 3 buildings. Plan A would reduce the building from approximately 3.2 million square feet to approximately 2.9 million square feet. Plan B would involve the reduction of approximately 3.2 million square feet to approximately 2.4 million square feet. And it would include a rail spur that connects to the main line on Case Road, which would significantly reduce truck traffic as part of this project. The project will be part of an e-commerce project as part of the rail development. The applicant has worked with a developer in town for an e-commerce project. The applicant will require a conditional use permit to permit outdoor storage for lumber. Both of the plans require a development agreement to reflect the modified conditions of approval. As noted, there will be a significant upgrade to the architecture from 2010. There's a top portion, there's a bottom portion. The updated architecture involves significant enhancement in materials, articulation, and enhanced landscaping. The applicant also worked with our city engineer's office to vet through the traffic circulation. All the traffic will be coming from Ellis Avenue to Case Road and connects to the freeway interchange at Case and Mapes. As part of the project, some of the changes to condition, I just want to highlight them. One of the condition is a modification to condition 25, which will allow the developer to pay a $1.5 million contribution for the project in lieu of preparing what they call a PSR for the traffic interchange. In addition, they will be required to make improvements to the interchange at Highway 74 and Case Road. And they'll also be making an additional contribution of $1.5 million that can either be contributed towards traffic improvements or to community benefits such as parks. In addition, the developer will be designing and building Veterans Memorial Park located at the southeast corner of 1st and D Street. This was presented to the Planning Commission on May 20th, 2020. The Planning Commission recommended only approval of Plan B, which includes the rail spur and outdoor lumber storage. The Planning Commission expressed concerns that Plan A would generate more traffic, so that's the reason why they only moved forward with Plan B. Staff's recommendation to the Planning Commission was to approve both Plan A and Plan B because there was a significant reduction in building square footage, the architecture was improved, and there was a better site layout. In regards to the environmental, staff determined that addendum would be appropriate since there's a reduction in square footage which would create less impacts. In conclusion, staff is carrying forth the recommendation of the Planning Commission to adopt resolution next in order to approve the major modification of CUP for Plan B only, and to approve the addendum and introduce first reading of the ordinance next in order to amend the development agreement. I just want to note that staff did prepare an alternative resolution for the council in case the council wishes to approve Plan A and B. So if the council wishes to do this, they can choose to do that. That concludes my presentation. The applicant for the project is at the gym. They would just like to make a brief presentation. You can decide to do that now or after you make some comments. That concludes my presentation. I'll be here to answer any questions, along as our city engineer who's sitting behind me.
Thank you, Mr. Fung. Before we move on, does council have any questions for clarifications, not general comments, just clarification questions? Councilman Rabb, are you good?
I'm good for now.
Okay, thank you. And I don't see anybody in the queue, so let's go ahead and hear from the applicant before I open up public comments.
I think Steven should be, they should be at the gym right now.
I have the applicants here. I'm going to let them come forward, introduce themselves, and they'll make speeches with social distancing precautions in place as well.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Lou Monville representing IDI Logistics. It's very nice to be with you all tonight. Nice to see you all, and I'm glad to see you're all well. It's always good to be in Perris. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you this evening. We've worked hard with your team to come to tonight's hearing, and we appreciate the opportunity to be with you. As always, we have our full complement of our team. Scott Hildebrand, our project engineer, is here to answer any technical or public infrastructure questions you might have. Emily Webb, who's our senior land use and entitlement specialist, is here. Any questions about the addendum process that we went through for the site? Our project attorney and CEQA counsel, John Ramirez, is with us, who can also talk about any revisions to the DA. But now it's my pleasure to introduce Charlie McPhee, who is the Senior Vice President and Regional Director for IDI Logistics. And I'll give him the floor and we'll continue on. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, thanks for hearing our request tonight. I know these are extraordinary circumstances in terms of logistics, so I appreciate all the effort that staff must have put forth to have this meeting. I'm going to briefly give you some background on our company and our intent to execute on this project, and also our intent to be involved in the community on a long-term and positive basis. Before I start, I want to say that, this is a big project. A lot of work has gone into this in terms of, from both sides, trying to make this an improved project from what was approved in 2010. I have to tell you that I can't tell you how unfailing the focus of staff and the professionalism of staff and the collaboration during really extraordinary times. We really appreciate the effort that the Mr. City Manager, Assistant City Manager, and all the staff have put forward. We're very grateful for that. Very briefly, IDI Logistics is a national real estate investment and development company. For many years, it's been in business for 35 years, and in 2013 built their first building in Perris. The company's built approximately 4 million square feet and hopes to, through this project, build several million more square feet. What's notable is in December of 2018, the company was acquired by two real estate entities that represent two of the largest pension funds in Canada. Ivanhoe Cambridge, which is essentially the employees of Quebec, and Oxford Properties, which invests on behalf of the police, fire, and school in Canada. The reason that's notable is our owners are interested in long-term ownership. Our business plan and our mission statement is to create the highest quality long-term income for long-term ownership. That is a permanent capital strategy. And the reason that I wanted to bring that up is it really is part of our mission statement to be part of this community, have a genuine positive impact on the Perris community for a long time. We've attempted to do that in getting involved in different programs like AYSO and the school district. And of course, we really thought it was important to help out with the need for feeding the seniors right now during this crisis. And then we're really excited about the Veterans Memorial. We have partners in that are vendors that work with us. Our architect, HPA, Webb, Yoakum, and Hunter Landscaping have all teamed up with us to put this project together. So what I guess I'm telling you is that this is not a project by project approach for us. This is a long-term investment for us in the community of Perris. We have a lot at stake here, and we plan on being a consistent and reliable partner. Before I turn it over to Steve Hollis, who's our head of construction and entitlement, I just wanted to clarify that we are asking for two plans to be approved this evening. And I just wanted to provide brief color on that. Basically, there's a plan A and a plan B. One has rail service and one doesn't. The rail service is what we prefer to execute on. There are certain hurdles associated with bringing the rail into the site. We've been working on it for months. It involves the Riverside Conservation Authority, the railroad, the BNSF, and the California Public Utilities Commission. We believe we're on our way to executing on that plan successfully, but we have a ways to go. As a backup plan, our non-rail project, which Steve will explain in a minute, we think is a significant improvement over what was approved in 2010, both in density, how we move truck traffic, and aesthetics, is our backup plan if we can't get rail into the site. The thesis behind our investment in this overall project was to attract e-commerce users. We hope that that will be a positive outcome for the community, as it will draw quality employment into the city of Perris. I'd like to turn it over to Steve, who works with me and is in charge of our construction and entitlements. Thank you again for your time. And by the way, I love the start of the meeting, and congratulations to those 6 young people, and good luck to them.
Hi, my name is Steve Hollis. I'm Vice President of Construction for IDI Logistics. I too want to echo what Charlie just said. The staff has done an amazing job under extraordinary circumstances to pull this all together. So again, I thank them very much. A few years back, the City Fathers had a great idea for this area. It was impacted by the flight paths for both the Perris Airport and March, and zoned it industrial. 10 years ago, it was entitled, went through the entire process, EIR, et cetera. We come in and we think we've improved on those good ideas. We've shrunk the project a bit, and it's pioneering in South Perris. There's not a lot of infrastructure. So we're making a big investment in the city and about $40 million worth of public infrastructure to build out not only complete Redlands Avenue, but build out Ellis to Case all the way down to the freeway, and improve the freeway on and off ramps. So we can take all that truck traffic to the south, keep it out of the core of Perris, and just allow the autos to go north. That would be a help, I think, to a lot of your businesses there for restaurants and whatnot, and sales proceeds. So we worked very, very diligently with Stewart, the planners, to try to create that separation between autos and trucks, keep all the trucks going south, the autos, obviously, to participate in the city businesses. But again, let's see, smaller project is less truck traffic. I think you guys have heard all these already, but if you have any questions, we have our entire staff here to answer any questions that you might have. And again, thank you so much for your time. The unions?
Mayor, I think we're good for now. Let us know whenever, if you have any other questions, and I can get somebody for you.
I have no volume. There we go. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, at this time, we're going to open up public comments. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Stephen?
Yep, I have a public comment from Mr. Eddie Rivera. You're coming in right now, and he's got a group behind him that are going to stand apart as well.
Take it off, right?
You can take that off, please. Everybody else keep your mask on.
All right. You guys stay 6 feet apart. Plug it in and make rows. Some come forward and some go back there.
All right, and let's everybody hold your breath.
Is this a Zumba class? Go ahead, Mr. Rivera, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. My name is Eddie Rivera. I'm a local resident. longtime resident of Riverside County. I'm here obviously in support of both of these proposals before you with the IDI project. With this whole COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of our construction brothers and sisters have suffered over these last 3 months or so. And we believe that a good development with good contractors who's going to put a lot of men and women to work here locally, close to home, which goes a long ways with our families, having 4 kids, spending a little bit of extra time with them instead of on the 91 freeway, commuting to Orange County or Riverside for hours at a time sometimes, is a big difference in the quality of life that I could provide for myself and my family with these opportunities here locally in the Perris and Riverside County area. So I strongly urge you, the lead buildings that are proposed are efficient. They're great. They're great for the environment and the hundreds of people that are going to work here locally. Again, just less traffic on the freeways, less pollution. It's a better quality of life and great opportunity for the local residents here in Perris. Please, I urge you, vote and support the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I ask who are the gentlemen in the back with the yellow vest?
They are Labor's Layuna Local 1184 here representing Riverside County. Over 5,000 members here in Riverside County and Imperial County, but they're here locally in Riverside. They're business agents for Layuna Local 1184.
Got it. Thank you. Anybody else, Madam Clerk?
All right, then we have one more for Juan Serrato.
Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Juan Serrato. I'm from Layuna 1184. On behalf of Layuna 1184 and our 469 city members of Perris, as well as the over 5,000 members of Riverside and Imperial counties and Arizona, I urge your support both of the IDI proposals before you tonight. Our members have been hurt, like we all have, by the financial impacts caused by the COVID-19. These jobs will be a big help to getting our members back on their feet and right here at home. I cannot stress enough the value of these local jobs. Our members often have to tackle long commutes for work. These jobs will allow our members to work here at home, spend more time with their families and have time to participate in the Perris community. On behalf of Layuna 1184 and our members of Perris as well, the over 5,000 regionally, I urge your support on both plans before you tonight. Both plans tonight are a win for Perris and our local Layuna members. I appreciate your consideration and I ask you again for your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, that's all the public comments I have in person here.
Thank you, Stephen. Madam Clerk, were there any others?
That is all.
Anybody else at this time wishing to speak on this particular matter? All righty, hearing none, seeing none, we will close public comment, or public hearing, I should say. All right, Council, do you guys have any questions or comments?
Question.
Councilman Reb?
Yes, for Kenneth, just for the viewing public. If we fail to vote on either option A or B, the applicant could still proceed with the option that was approved in 2010?
Yes, they can. There's an entitlement till September 2026.
Okay. Another question, how much traffic do we anticipate the rail spur removing compared to the option A, the new configuration without the rail spur, or the original option that was approved in 2010? Have we estimated that?
I would refer that to the environmental consultant. I don't know that information offhand right now.
Okay. And then I guess since they're coming up, I just have one other question. What sort of means have we made to mitigate any potential traffic coming down? Because there's the intersection of Redlands and 7th. And then if you go down 7th, since they reconfigured Redlands, a lot more cars have been coming down 7th to get to Perris Boulevard, F Street, to other portions of downtown. what sort of mitigation are we doing to ensure that no trucks come down 7th Street during the residential section of 7th Street?
Yes, there's only one access off of Redlands, and that access is narrowed down so that only cars can go through. And plus, there's an impediment design. I can bring up the slide for you, so that a big rig truck cannot drive through that area. Let me show you. So, if you can see on your presentation, this is on the Redlands access point. There's this sign structure, so a big truck cannot drive down that access. And all the trucks will go off of Ellis Avenue. That's how we configured it in coordination with our city engineer's office.
Okay, thank you. And if you have a chance, can I get the environmental person up for the question regarding the rail spur?
Yes.
I think they're coming up to the microphone now.
Which way should I look?
Look right there.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. And thank you again, all of you, for your time today. Yes, we did take a look at the comparison with the rail spur. That's included in as part of the addendum as Appendix 3. We do anticipate there being an offset. We actually studied both with and without the rail discount because we wanted to take a more conservative approach. And in either event, that number will be significantly reduced beyond what was approved originally for the project. So if you look at Appendix 3, we have a detailed breakdown of that information. Or I'm sorry, yes, Appendix 3 to the addendum.
You're on mute, David. I don't know if you have any more questions.
No further questions.
Okay, thank you. I don't see nobody in the queue. Councilman Corona?
I do have a question for IDI. Do we have a tenant that's already set to look into for Plan B?
Yes, there will.
We have a tenant that we're working on for Plan B. It's not finalized yet, but we've been working for several months to secure it, but it's not final.
Okay. Do you have a tenant for the current plan if it were in place right now?
No.
Do you have a tenant for Plan A?
No, not the secured, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. My understanding is in Plan A and B, they have up to $40 million in improvements.
That is correct, either plan.
Okay. That's before they even start touching a shovel to dirt for their project? Or is that in concurrence?
Both plans have traffic improvements that coincide with the development of each phase. Plan B defers some of those improvements along the interchange because of the rail spur, and there's less truck traffic in the very beginning of phase 1, which is the first building. However, Plan A requires a lot more traffic improvements up front because there is no rail spur. And it is assumed that would generate more truck traffic without a rail spur.
And Plan A, that's where they will be doing some modifications on the street that goes over the railroad tracks.
Correct.
Was that
Plan A?
Was that Case Road?
Case and Ellis.
Case and Ellis, yes. Which is a horrible intersection now, if you want to call it an intersection.
Correct.
Okay. So, for starters, this is in a light industrial, this is in an area that is approved for light industrial. You can stand up, Kenneth, because I'm going to be asking a couple of questions. You can take your mask off.
Okay, thank you. Yes, it is zoned in light industrial.
And this also falls in the APZ zone of the airflow, the traffic for the airplanes?
For the Perris Valley Airport.
So we can't build anything there but light industrial?
Yeah, you can't, correct.
Okay. And then the bottom line is and I think Councilman Corona might have mentioned it, or Rab, either way, they already have an approved plan to be there, to be building light industrial there from the get-go already.
That's
Correct?
correct.
And now what they're doing is they're making less buildings and less total square footage.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, and Plan B, my understanding is for a prospective client, however you want to put it, that's going to require the spur, the railroad tie-in and what have you. That's why they're doing all the modifications for that. And they still have some approvals to go through with different entities, governmental agencies, correct?
Yes.
So that's why they're saying it's still not approved to have that person there until those things get approved. And then worst case scenario, they'll have to fall back on A if things don't go well for B.
Correct.
Which technically both those areas have already been approved for light industrial.
Yes.
Okay, well, I have no objections to something that's been approved already. Thank you. All right, before we call for a motion, no more further questions. I have Rita Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem on the queue.
Yes, the modifications that they're proposing are a definite improvement from the original plans that were submitted and approved in 2010. In light of the fact that they don't have a secured tenant to go with Plan B, and you've got to hedge both options of Plan A and Plan B because they don't have a secured tenant. If Plan B does not work out, we still want to consider the option of Plan A. So I definitely can respect the ask for considering both Plan A and Plan B, and I would support that. I'm probably one of the ones that approved this way back in 2010, and I do see some definite improvement with the landscaping, with the walking trails, and I think we want to go with the current modification rather than the original plans because there have been definite considerations and improvements. So,
Thank you. Councilwoman Magana?
Thank you. Just my further question is, so you don't have any tenants established. Do you have any foreseeable timeline where you can see this tenants coming in for this project?
Refer that to IDI.
So our goal, we own this property, and as was pointed out, the infrastructure is extensive. So we'll be making an extensive investment in infrastructure. We've already begun making an extensive investment in designing that infrastructure, several $1 million, for the goal of being able to deliver a building, should we obtain a tenant, roughly 2 years from now. That's how long it will take to design, construct the infrastructure, and make the site available, and ultimately construct a building. That's sort of the general time frame of the delivery schedule. Should we obtain a tenant? It's a very active market. We're responding to inquiries quite often, and so we're committed to making the financial investment to put ourselves in the best position possible to attract tenants to the site.
Okay, and to follow up with that question, there's developments here in the city of Perris who are looking for tenants and have been looking for a while. Do any of those projects, if I may ask, fall into, are they any of your projects?
When you say there's projects that have been looking for tenants for a while, we have other projects we've built in Perris, except for one building, which we just completed like within the last 30 days. Every project we have is leased.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Okay, so David, go ahead, Councilman Rapp.
Oh, yes, just a few quick question. From what I understand, the rail line is dependent on what's going to happen at the Riverside Conservation Agency. Is that correct? From based on my talkings with the people from IDI and people from city staff?
Yes, it would go through the conservation area, and they would have to work in an agreement with them.
Okay, and in terms of that, we would expect some more information on that conservation area probably by the late summer, early fall of this year.
Yeah, there is a process for that, and it'll probably take 3 to 6 months at least.
Okay, is there a way we can approve option B, but not necessarily vote down option A, but keep it in the background so that there's sort of a fire to get option B done, the rail line, and then reassess whether or not we want to approve option A later in the year, like November or December?
Yeah, I would defer that to our legal counsel.
Mayor, members of the council, what's before you is the Planning Commission's recommendation. It would be to do just what Councilmember Rabb says, which is approve the plan with the option B. And then the council can always reconsider things later on if that's the pleasure of the council.
Thank you.
I don't want to use the word option. I'm going to say plan B.
All right, any other questions? Councilman Corona?
I do have a few comments, though. I did watch the Planning Commission meeting. I don't know if any of my colleagues watched it, but they really went into great lengths regarding this specific topic. They asked a lot of questions about it. But the summary of this was that they voted in 5-0 to approve Plan B, which if you take in consideration our Planning Commission, that's pretty remarkable. At the same time, they voted 4-1 to reject Plan A, which once again, if you consider our Planning Commission, I don't think that they've ever rejected a large industrial project of this size, which was pretty rare, and it definitely made me kind of consider what the options are, and then after asking questions and meeting with the developers, it was very clear that Plan B is definitely better because it takes off trucks off the road, right? At the same time, too, I think we have a better chance of acquiring a tenant that's actually going to benefit our city. Because I'm not the biggest proponent, obviously, from decisions I've made before, but I can tell you that this specific project is probably the best industrial project that we've ever had in our city because of a couple things. Because it takes off trucks away from our freeways. At the same time, it uses the rail system, which is something that I wish more of our industrial buildings would use, because our rail system's been there for over 100 years, so it definitely makes sense to utilize it. So if the issue is that RCA there's kind of an issue with it, I am more than willing with Councilman Rabb obviously being the RCA the RCA representative to write a letter in support of this project for the rail system, because it does go through RCA land, but at the same time, it definitely uses some other land to reserve it. So I'm definitely in favor of Plan B. I haven't been in favor of a lot of industrial projects, but this one actually does make sense considering that it's already industrial there. It's already planned for warehouses. So it's definitely better. And then Plan A, it's just not to the level of Plan B. So I think anything less would be not to the standard of our residents of Perris. So that's why I'm only in favor of Plan B, but not Plan A. Now, if things change, if they do their due diligence to really try to acquire a tenant, and it fails, then I'm definitely willing to consider to bring that back. But as of right now, I think we should just put everything towards Plan B and try to make it happen. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, then at this time, I'll call for a motion on the resolution.
So for clarification, the resolution is a staff recommendation?
No, I mean, your motion is going to be on what you want to vote on, which is the motion, the resolution that's in our packet is just for B, but you can also make a motion to approve A and B.
Okay.
Am I correct, Mr. Dunn?
Yes, I'm watching so that whoever makes the
Right.
motion
So
first, we
it's
can
based
clarify
on who
that.
makes, you got to clarify what you're making the motion on.
Okay, okay.
Mayor, we have one more comment from the from IDI folks here.
I just wanted to clarify, and I may be confused by what I'm hearing, but I believe, first of all, it is 100% our goal to execute on the option B rail plan. But we do have several months ahead of us in process related to both the RCA and the Public Utilities Commission and the railroad. We worked exceptionally hard with staff on option A as a backup plan. That is what we think is a material improvement to what is currently approved for the project. We would really appreciate your consideration for both of those plans, knowing that without question, it's our desire to execute on the rail-related plan. But there are, extensive timeframes involved in getting a PUC and RCA approval. I don't think the original approval had any conditions related to having tenants identified. We believe me, we more than anyone else want to identify tenants since we have many millions of dollars invested in this. But the bottom line is we've created two plans that are materially better than what was approved in 2010. And that was our goal from the outset. So I'd really appreciate your consideration on approving both A and B.
Thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion that we approve option B as approved by the Planning Commission last month, but reserve on option A.
Can you maybe expound on that? Meaning, if so, you're saying if B doesn't go through, then we can come back and bring back A?
That's how I would take. We come back and vote on A separately. We're not approving A today, but we're approving B, the option with the rail line today, but not particularly rejecting A. We're basically doing what the Planning Commission did last meeting in May, at their meeting in May.
Okay. Is there a second?
For clarification, do we have a time limit of when that would happen for option A, for plan A?
I guess confer to council, but you could approve it without prejudice or with prejudice, council? Either one or the other. Council isn't legal.
Yeah, I'm trying to absorb what you're saying here, and I'm trying to. Is Councilmember Rab asking that A comes back at a specific time? Because ordinarily, if a project is denied, then the applicant would have to wait a year to come back to apply again, unless the council requested that it come back. So it would be helpful to either clarify that now or at some future date have the council, any council member, request that A comes back to be put on the agenda again.
Yes, I wasn't particularly denying A. I know the Planning Commission did. We can bring it back maybe November, first meeting in November, but right now we vote on whether or not to approve option B.
Could we do could we just strictly vote on option B today?
The Planning Commission's recommendation is to approve all the resolutions, conditions of approval, introduce the ordinance with only Plan B.
Mhm.
That's the Planning Commission recommendation.
Okay.
You have alternate resolutions, and then if you wanted to add Plan A, I was going to walk you through how you would change the ordinance to include that today. But if you want to just follow the Planning Commission recommendation, it's only Plan B. That's it. Councilman Rab appears to say, include in the motion to bring back Plan A in November, but that's just a motion.
Okay, I will second the motion from Councilman Rab. But I do also think that it would be important if we wrote a letter in addition for support to RCA, with Councilman Rab obviously being the lead on that one, to in support of that. If my colleagues are happy to do that. But yeah, I will be seconding his motion.
Did he specify a time frame or not?
November?
November is what the
November, I
last
think.
we heard.
Which is, this is 6 and 11, so it's 5 months out, roughly. And in 5 months, if what you're saying is if option B does not come to fruition, then we're going to reconsider A?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the worst case scenario, they're going to go back to the original plan. You're going to have more buildings and more square footage. And you're worried about trucks now. You're not going to have railway in the original plans.
And unfortunately, it's not just the Conservation Agency. It's also Burlington Northern, the railroad. You've got to get through the piece, what is it, Public Utilities Commission? And I know from just forming that Western Community Energy, how long it took us to get through the Public Utilities Commission. That's not an easy process. So you're talking about an awful long time. And the applicant is willing to put all of this money into it for the plans. And I know they're trying to really go with Plan B, but I think we should also consider as a backup Plan A without delaying it for 6 or 7 months. Because if not, you fall back to the original plan that was approved in 2010, which is a much larger facility.
Facilities.
Yeah.
There's 3 buildings or 4 buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah, but smaller buildings though. I don't.
Total more square footage than what
Yeah.
you're doing now. They're reducing the square footage with this current plan of A and B. So, I mean, that's why I was supportive of this project. You're going to now want to put a stipulation that may not be able to come to fruition, because if they don't get these things passed, then what?
Just for clarification, Plan A includes truck traffic and larger square footage than Plan B. So Plan A includes truck traffic. Plan B includes no truck traffic. It's prohibited by what Kenneth showed us. So no truck traffic and then smaller square footage. Is that correct?
No, Plan B includes less truck traffic. It still will include truck traffic, but reduced because there is a rail spur for one of the buildings, which is the larger building. But Plan A has no rail spur, so that's all truck traffic. But Plan B will still have some truck traffic. It's just reduced because the rail will be utilized. So either way, there's still some for both. Less is B, of course, because of the rail.
Thank you.
Well, I think there's been a motion, right, in a second?
We got a motion. Did you second for his exact wording?
Yeah.
Okay. If there's no more further question, we'll call the vote. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Magana?
Yes.
Councilmember Corona?
Yes.
Councilmember Rab?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rogers? Mayor Vargas?
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Alrighty, 9B is consideration to adopt resolution number next in order, adopting a transportation impact analysis guidelines for analyzing vehicle miles traveled, also known as VMT, as the matrix for determining a project's impact on transportation in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. And this will be introduced by our planning manager, Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. For this particular item, we've retained RK Engineering to assist us with the VMT policies in compliance with SB 743. The person who will be presenting is Brian Estrada. He's in the gym right now, and he'll be queued in for the presentation.
Maybe not. Okay, we're going to do a share screen here. You see that okay, Mayor?
Yes.
You can.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Brian Estrada with RK Engineering Group. We have been working with the City of Perris, in particular, Mr. Fung and Mr. McKibben over the past several months to help develop transportation impact analysis guidelines for complying with new changes to CEQA law that go into effect July 1st, 2020. Next slide, please.
You can.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So to provide you with a very brief overview, on September 27th, 2013, Senate Bill SB 743 was signed into law and resulted in changes to the California Environmental Quality Act to help further reduce, to help further promote the state's goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and traffic-related air pollution. The previous CEQA metric of level of service, oftentimes measured in terms of automobile delay, congestion, roadway capacity, will no longer constitute a significant impact under CEQA. Instead, vehicle miles traveled will be the new metric for determining significance. The TIA guidelines help establish a uniform set of criteria and technical analysis guidance for analyzing VMT and also setting a standard for thresholds of significance and mitigation measures that will be applied to development and roadway improvement projects here in the city of Perris. So to conclude, staff is recommending that the council adopt the resolution you have here before you next in order, approving the TIA guidelines for vehicle miles traveled in terms of CEQA. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions for clarification before I open up the hearing? Seeing none in the queue, and Councilman Rabb, you're good?
Stand by, Josh.
All right, this time we're going to open up public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody at this time in the audience or wishing to speak on this particular matter? Hearing or seeing none, we'll close public comment. Public hearing, excuse me. And Council, any final questions?
Yes.
Councilman Corona.
Yes. So I do understand that the purpose of this is to determine vehicle miles, going to and from, I guess, Perris. Is there a goal of what they're going to do with the data? Because I have an idea of what they're going to do with it, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah. So the goal is to set basically a threshold at which development projects will will be required to demonstrate that they're generating less than a certain level of VMT. Essentially, a citywide average VMT level will be set, and new development that comes in or new roadway improvement projects that come in will be required to demonstrate that they are at or below that level, which will help ultimately reduce the amount of vehicle miles traveled in the city, and thus leading to reduced greenhouse gas and air pollution emissions.
Okay, so in a working class community like Perris that has to travel long distances to get to work, is their number going to be higher than the average city that might have a lot of businesses within their city?
Yes, so in looking at Riverside County as a whole, or different areas within Riverside County, Perris did have a slightly higher than average VMT rate. The threshold will be set at that level. So it's specific and focused on the city's local conditions and characteristics, roadway characteristics and driving patterns and that sort of thing.
Okay. Now is the goal to eventually, I guess, track everyone's mileage and then potentially charge them because the gas tax isn't really doing it? Is that what the goal is?
No, this isn't going to be tracking people individually. Vehicle miles traveled is more of a macro assessment. It's done based off of transportation models. It won't be individuals will not be tracked, and it's there's no intention to apply this to some sort of a tax or localized individualized assessment. It's more of a macro level analysis.
Okay, so the goal is just to see what the average is in City of Perris, and then let's say in 2, 3, 5 years from now it goes up. Then what?
So as the way the guidelines are written right now, the thresholds are based off of I believe it's 2013 baseline data. So that's the latest baseline in the Riverside County transportation model. So that's your current threshold. If in the future that model is updated and it's shown that number has expanded, then there may be potential to change that threshold to better fit with the goals of Perris. But as of now, based on the current data, the threshold is set based on the baseline conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? My understanding, there's not an option here. This is being mandated by the state. Am I correct? So it's not I don't see the purpose of a discussion because we don't have a choice here. We're being mandated by the state to do this. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to approve. And I have one. Mayor Pro Tem Rogers, second by Councilwoman Magana. Please call the roll call vote.
Councilmember Magana?
Yes.
Councilmember Corona?
Yes.
Councilmember Rab?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rogers? Yes. Mayor Vargas?
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item C is consideration to adopt resolution number next in order. Approving
Right that way. Okay, thanks a lot. Yep.
Mute yourself, Stephen.
Sorry, sir.
Thank you. Consideration to adopt resolution number next in order approving a substantial amendment to the 2019-2024 five-year consolidated plan and the fiscal year 2019-2020 annual action plan to include funding in the amount of $16,000 of unexpected fiscal year 2019 to 2020 public service funds to the eLearn program. This will be introduced by our Assistant City Manager, Clara Miramontes.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'd like to introduce our Grants Manager, Sarah Cortez de Pavon.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and City staff. The item before you today pertains to a substantial amendment in the Community Development Block Grant Program. A substantial amendment is triggered when a new activity is funded that was not contained in the final adopted annual action plan. This amendment would allow $16,000 of unused fiscal year 1920 public service funds for the eLearn program to be added to the fiscal year 1920 annual action plan and 1924 consolidated plan. These reprogram funds are from the Perris Valley Youth Association Sports. Due to social distancing, they were unable to utilize these funds and implement their boxing program. The proposed activity is to reprogram $16,000. This would help with up to 3 months total assistance for internet providers. The households must have a current K-12 student living in the home or a college or university student in the household. These funds will pay for your regular monthly bill, arrears starting for March 2020. They will pay for reconnection fees and also to start service. Payments will be made directly to the internet provider. No late fees or deposits are covered. And also, because this is under the 1920 fiscal year annual action plan, we have to use these funds by June 30th of this year. All households cannot exceed the 80% area median income for their household size as listed in front of you. And to apply, residents can go to the City of Perris to obtain an application. They can come into Development Services Building, or they can email Rebecca Rivera at the email listed there, or contact her at that number listed. The requested action is that City Council open the public hearing and take all public comments on this item, and to adopt the substantial amendment to the 1920 Annual Action Plan and 1924 Consolidated Plan to include the eLearn program proposed funding recommendations, and to direct staff to take all necessary action to implement the amendment in accordance with HUD regulations. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for clarification, Council?
I just wanted to thank staff. This is a phenomenal project, and I'm really excited that we were able to allocate the funds this way. I think it's phenomenal for our students here in the city who may not have access, especially since everything is going online and being virtual now. So since the deadline is June 30th, 2020, does that mean that the 3 months will be paid in a lump sum to the internet provider?
No, so unfortunately, because this is, we say, because of the type of assistance this is, it's utility assistance, basically, we can go no more than 3 months.
Okay.
Per HUD regulations. However, because the deadline is cut off, we can pay arrears. So if they're late on their payment and they haven't gotten cut off for, let's say, May or April, we can do April, May, and June, but we can't go past June 30th.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
I don't see anybody else in the queue. Mr. Rab, you're okay? Alrighty, at this time, we're going to open up public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time on this matter? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll call for a motion on the resolution. I have a motion by Councilwoman Magana, second by Mayor Pro Tem Rogers. Please call a roll call vote.
Councilmember Magana?
Yes.
Councilmember Corona?
Yes.
Councilmember Rab?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rogers?
Yes.
Mayor Vargas?
Yes,
5-0, motion approved.
thank you. 9D is consideration to adopt resolution number next in order approving submission of a grant application for the Permanent Local Housing Allocation, also known as the PLHS program. And this will be introduced by our Assistant City Manager, Clara Miramontes.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'd like to bring Ms. Sarah Cortez de Pavon for this item as well.
Good evening. The item before you pertains to the PLHA application. HCD released $195 million in PLHA funding under Senate Bill 2, which established a permanent source of funding intended to increase affordable housing stock in California. This program is intended to increase a supply of housing for households at or below 60% of the area median income, increase assistance to affordable owner-occupied workforce housing, assist persons experiencing or at risk of becoming homeless, facilitate housing affordability, and to promote projects and programs to meet regional housing need allocations. The notice of funding, the city is eligible for an estimated 5-year allocation amount of $2,799,192. There is no match required. It is intended to use to help fund construction of affordable rental housing in the downtown specific plan. And it will contribute to meeting our city's regional housing needs assessment or RHNA figures. The requested action is that City Council open the public hearing and take all public comments for this item, and authorize staff to execute the city's PLHA program application on behalf of the city. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Council, any comments for clarification before we open up the hearing? Seeing none in the queue. Councilman Rab, you're good? Okay. This time we're going to open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody at this time wishing to speak on this particular matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll call for a motion on the resolution. A motion by Councilwoman Magana, second by Councilman Corona. Please call a roll call vote.
Councilmember Magana,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Councilmember Rab,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rogers. Yes. Mayor Vargas,
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, item 10 is our business items. Does not require a public hearing, but we will have public comments of 3 minutes. 10A is a Perris Skills Center and Job Placement Center update. This will be introduced by our Assistant City Manager, Clara Miramontes.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an update at the request of the City Council. Back in 2018, the city received a grant award under the Federal Economic Development Administration for $5.5 million for a skills center in the downtown. And tonight, Project Manager Grace Williams under Interwest Consulting Services will be providing you an update for this project. Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, city staff. This is an update to the Perris Downtown Skills Training and Job Placement Center. The project was given a federal EDA award, the largest that was issued by federal EDA in 2018, for over $5.5 million. The project was entitled and the design approved last year by Planning Commission at the northeast corner of D Street and First Street. This is on the former Why Not lot and directly across the street from the Perris Station Apartments.
Why not?
And why not? And also near the Cesar Chavez Library and directly south of the Renteria building that the city is looking to purchase. The site is located in the Perris Downtown Specific Plan with the Civic Center designation. There was also a map that was approved as part of the entitlement. You all approved the final map for 37800 to form the half-acre parcel needed for the building. That was approved tonight, which means we can proceed with recording the map, certifying the lot, and this will allow city staff to start submitting invoices for reimbursement to federal EDA. A site analysis for parking was completed as part of the entitlement. This was just to show that downtown could accommodate the need for parking spaces for the future tenants and users. This is a street view of the project site. If you're driving north on D Street near First Street, you'll see the Skills Center site, again, right across the street from Perris Station Apartments. This is a view of the Skills Center site from Lagar Cafe. If you're drinking your coffee, you could just take a look in the building and see people working in the maker spaces. This is the Skills Center site view from First Street. The only vehicular parking access or vehicular access to and from the building will be off of First Street, and that's for loading and unloading of equipment and supplies for skills training. This is a view of the Skills Center site from the Metrolink station. If you're leaving the parking lot, this is where you would see the site, and directly across the street to the south will be where the Veterans Park will be located, and that project was mentioned earlier today, City Council's meeting. This is an architectural rendition of the building view from the Perris Station Apartments, and another view of your driving out of the Metrolink site. Now, I just want council to note that this building is a 2-story building, but from the outside, it would look like a 3-story building because the first floor, from floor to top of ceiling, will be 20 feet high due to ventilation systems and also accommodating the heavy equipment for CNC machining and welding. When the project was approved by federal EDA, there was a budget that they considered. This was the budget that was submitted to them. Proposed are the line items that staff looked at. We proposed a $6.8 million construction project. Federal EDA awarded 80% of that at over $5.5 million, and Perris matched it at 20%, $1.37 million, and that was funded out of the Economic Development Corporation funds. Construction timeline has us breaking ground September of this year. The invitation to bid for contractors will be posted on the newspaper tomorrow. That ad was also posted on City Hall campus last week. The issue bid date, which would include construction plans as well as permitting, will be posted June 18th for contractors bidding on the project. There is a mandatory pre-bid conference that will be held in this room, the City Council chambers, at 10 a.m. on June 25th. Only contractors appearing at that meeting will be qualified to bid for the project. Anyone else will be disqualified. Bids opening July 16th, 2020. Award is anticipated at City Council meeting on August 25th. Notice to proceed, we're anticipating September 8th, again, also groundbreaking day. Substantial completion of the project is slated to be done 220 working days from the day that we break ground, which means that we'll be completed with the project July 23rd of next year, doors opening August of 2021. Engineer's estimate on the project is $5.5 million to $5.7 million. Of course, we are going with the lowest qualified bidder. The grant from federal EDA is a partnership between the City of Perris and the Economic Development Corporation. So there's a master lease in place for 55 years on the property for $1 a year from the City of Perris to the CEDC. It was very important for City Council and EDA that this project be self-sustainable, which means that we had to consider different sublease scenarios to make sure that we're generating enough income to pay for the operations and maintenance of the building. We looked at the CEDC being the operator and maintainer of the building and subleasing to individual tenants. And we also looked at bringing in an independent operator that will be in charge of the building and also manage the individual tenants. Back in 2018, EDA required that we provide a pro forma to show them the sustainability of the project, and this is what staff provided them at the time. We assumed a $2 per square foot rent at the time for 2020. We also assumed that first year we'd have half of the building occupied, and that as part of CEDC managing the building, there were expenses associated with it, like business licensing, insurance, and staffing. And at the time, staff did assume that CEDC will absorb all the costs of operating and maintaining the building, which is why we started it at $2 a square foot for rent, and we increased that every year thereafter at 35 cents. It was not a CPI projection, it was simply adding 35 cents to help manage the costs of managing the building. Given the current environment created by COVID-19, we did pull some lease rates within downtown, and we found that there's a building just down the street that is for lease for $1 a square foot, triple net lease sort of structure on the lease, which means that the operation and maintenance of the building would be shared with the tenants. So we also pulled the Tri-Lake Engineering lease within the Perris apartments, and found that they also followed a similar structure where they held $1 per square foot lease rate for 3 years and then increased the lease by the CPI every year thereafter. So we pulled that as an example for the Skills Center. Again, given the current COVID environment, we wanted to make the building attractive to future tenants and a potential operator. So this is the scenario you'll see in front of you with that reduced rent rate, but with the triple net approach where the tenants do share in some of the operation costs, which is why the expense line item on this scenario is lower than what we looked at in 2018. And as you can see, there is a negative net income to CEDC on year one because, again, we assumed that half of the building will be occupied in year one, and then we have 100% occupancy in following years. So that's why you see an increase over time. Now, looking at the independent operator scenario, which is the preferred scenario for the CEDC, this is bringing in someone that will take the building over, operate, maintain it, and manage the tenants. All the CEDC would be doing is collecting the rent for the square footage that is utilized by the operator. And as you can see, given the scenario of the dollar per square foot for the first 3 years, CPI increase over time after year 3, we have a net income of positive $180,000 over a period of 3 years. And again, we use the square footage of 15,000 in these scenarios, but the building is larger than that. But these are the numbers that we wanted to make sure we come in with a very conservative approach on the lease to show that even with this very conservative sublease amount of $1 per square foot, you're still able to make a net gain on the CEDC side for rents, even with an operator. So we did the pro forma with an operator over a period of 7 years to 20 years. So we showed that under the scenario of average rent of $1 square foot for the first 3 years, CPI increases after the third year, and also using a CPI of 2.5%, which is conservative. The total income, this shows that CEDC recovers its full investment in the project of $1.3 million in a period of 7 years, and it would net gain $5.8 million over a period of 20 years. And 20 years is in this scenario because the subleases are structured to allow the tenants to extend their leases every 5 years and up to 20 years is how our subleases are structured right now. The tenants of interest that are at the table right now for the building include Goodwill Southern California, which we're very excited about because of their record in skills training and also their massive network because they're a well-known organization. In partnership with Technical Employment Training, they currently provide skills training in advanced manufacturing at the San Bernardino Airport, and they've provided hundreds of jobs for local manufacturers. Riverside County Office of Education is also at the table. They are committing a technical teacher for skills training in the building because they want to make their services in the building accessible to their adult learners. So they are looking at partnering with TET on the first floor. Second floor, Department of Rehabilitation is looking to lease an office space on the second floor. Learn for Life, which services adult learners that don't necessarily fit within the standard high school environment. They offer skills training right now in Riverside and many other parts of Riverside County, so they'll be taking up 2 classrooms in the building. And then we also have the computer lab and nursing lab available for adult learners in high school programs, community colleges, and universities. So let's take a look at the building. When you walk into the building, first floor off of D Street, you'll meet a receptionist and they'll check you into your class on the first floor, whether you're taking manufacturing or welding, or also point you to a class on the second floor by taking the elevator or stairwell. Second floor labs, again, are available to high schools, community colleges, and universities. This is an outline, as you can see. DOR, which is the Department of Rehabilitation, wants to occupy space in the office upstairs. There's a classroom space that's not yet spoken for that's available. Learn for Life is taking up 2 of the classrooms. There's a dotted line between those classrooms because you can actually open up the wall to create one big space as needed. And across the way from Learn for Life is Nursing Lab. Perris High School's Ms. Barrows actually helped us design the nursing lab, and that was just based on her program at Perris High. She indicated she had a really long waiting list for adult learners and needed some space for training, so we were very happy to accommodate her in this space, and we want to thank Councilmember Corona for pointing us in that direction. She was very, very helpful. The computer lab is available to organizations that want to offer up soft skills training, resume building, interview practices. Right now, those services are offered through the Workforce Investment Board, Riverside County, and in fact, Goodwill of Southern California is a partner of theirs in those efforts. So this space, again, is available to those agencies. These logos represent the partners that we are actively working with to create the programs and the pipelines feeding into this building. What Goodwill Southern California will tell you in their expansive work in California in skills training is partnerships are key. Partnerships with local businesses that are looking for skill sets, and they're also looking for a place to upskill their workers. Pipelines for high school graduates that aren't going to college but need some kind of certification program so they can secure a sustainable job. And so those are the types of partners. We also have labor union, and they're very eager to offer their apprenticeship programs through the center. So it was very important for us to have these strong partnerships at the table. So we've been working with many of these organizations for nearly 2 years. And in fact, many of them helped with the inception of the idea behind the project once they heard that City Council wanted to have this in their downtown. We did receive a number of letters of support for the project. Senator Roth's office, Assemblyman Medina's office, the various legislators in our region that also support the organizations that are coming to the table with us. So we're very excited to have a vast support from all of our partners for Perris. And our operator of interest, Goodwill, is interested in operating the building. They're very excited about partnerships in this building. And just so you know, I was researching job centers throughout California. There is none in California that offers what the Perris Skills Center will offer. And that's not just the job training services, but an actual on-site vocational training certification skills center. So this is very unique to the city of Perris. These are some of the, on the slide, you see some services that Goodwill Southern California are offering, and they are big on apprenticeship programs. So that's the one thing that we're very excited to offer out of the Perris Center. This is just a list of the centers that they're involved with throughout SoCal, and they do run America Job Centers as well. They have vast experience in that, and also an extensive partnership that they would be bringing into the fold. So again, we're talking about having Goodwill as the operator of the building. We are also talking about designating this center as an America Jobs Center. And what that is, it's a federally recognized designation that will allow tenants in a building to access federal funds for skills training. So the Workforce Investment Board has already sent over a resolution for City Council's consideration to designate the center as an America Jobs Center. However, they're interested in seeing the operator and also the tenants at the table. And so that's why we're excited to talk to Goodwill, because they have extensive experience in running those types of centers. And with that, I am available for any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Doctor. Council, any questions?
Yes.
Councilman Corona?
Thank you so much, Dr. Grace, about with the presentation. Now, I've never seen this design. Is that going to be the design right there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. I wonder if you could go way back to level 1, to floor plan 1. Right there. Okay. So I see that there's a welding shop in there. Do we have a tenant that's going to teach the welding?
So right now, we're talking to Riverside County Office of Education on the welding program, because they currently have one in the city of Moreno Valley. They originally, months ago, had considered moving it here to the center, but have since then, since COVID, there's been changes in the school district, so that program will remain in Moreno Valley. So we're talking about doing something in partnership with TET for the welding, but we don't have a tenant specifically secured for welding right now. We're looking at different scenarios for that space.
Okay, thank you so much.
I don't see anybody else in the queue. Anybody wish to make any comments or questions? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, Dr. Williams, in light of COVID-19 and proposed budget cuts throughout the state, so I know a lot of these organizations receive money either from the county or from the state or even federal dollars that will be reduced. Will that affect any of your confirmed lease agreements, and how many confirmed lease agreements do we have?
So all the lease agreements will come to the council for consideration and approval. Right now, the strong ones, Learn for Life is definitely on board. They're ready to sign. And the TET in partnership with Goodwill is also very strong. Goodwill, I just started speaking with them, came to me about a month ago. And so their leadership is currently doing an assessment for the building as a whole for operating purposes. So that's, again, they submitted a letter of support for you all, and as you read in there, they're very excited about this center and the potential partnerships in it. So that's a very strong partnership. DOR as well. The support letters from our state legislators were critical for Department of Rehabilitation because their budget does come from the state. And the sublease agreement for state agencies are going to look different. Their lease rate will actually be higher than the other tenants. And right now they're looking at $2 a foot, only because they are not allowed to participate in a triple net lease type of structure. They have to pay their bills a month, and they have to know what that number is. So that's why we set it at $2 a foot. Again, the support from Assemblyman Medina and Senator Roth were very key for that reason for our state agencies coming into the building. But everyone that you see here, TET Machine Shop, the Goodwill, also on the second floor, Learn for Life. Perris High School, we have a conference call with Santos, Mr. Santos and his staff, to go over what the adult learning in the building looks like. Val Verde Unified School District is also very, very interested in the building, so those discussions are going on right now.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I don't have any questions, but just thank you so much for coming out and providing this update. This is a project that I'm really excited about to provide opportunities and career pathways to our residents here in Perris, especially during these difficult times. Now more than ever, people are looking to reskill and reshape and reinvent themselves. So I look forward to hearing as further updates as the project unfolds. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Rab, you good? Okay, well, you don't need to know how excited I am about this, even though you can't see my smile. Can we go back, IT, to the slide of all the letters of support? Right there, perfect. So, Dr. Williams, this is fantastic, all these letters of support. What does that mean? Are they giving us money? Because that's all I have any interest with these letters of support is if they're throwing in money.
Yeah, we're working on it. So this represents all the key players that have been at the table and are active in the conversations on the Skill Center and how to make it work. No one's yet committed a blank check, Mayor. But I think securing the partnerships will help us eventually get to funding. Also, I want to disclose we do have an advisory committee that we're working on with local manufacturers, and TET and Goodwill are a big part of that as well. We'll also be looking for participation from City Council in that advisory committee, and the goal is to help find funding for equipment and supplies for the building and partnerships for internships, externships, all those fun things that will lead to job placement.
Great. So if IT, make sure to get myself and council a copy of that slide presentation. It's a beautiful building, by the way. I love it. So I'd like to have that copy of that. Great location. You're next to the library. You're next to Transit Center. Got great eating spots, and then Lagar being right across the street is the first one. So you can't ask for a better location. So I hope everything goes well as planned, and hopefully we'll be seeing this start to come to fruition by September. All right, this is just a receive and file, so if no one else has any more questions, we're going to move on. Thank you very much, Dr. Williams.
Thank you.
10B is consideration to approve a one-year contract with Social Work Action Group, SWAG, for the fiscal year 2020 through 2021, the homeless services in the city of Perris.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we're going to request, staff has requested this item be continued. We're working on finalizing some of these numbers with SWAG, and we'll bring it back to you at a future meeting.
Very well, thank you. Okay, public comment, item 11. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir.
Are they in the gym?
Yes.
Mr. Hale, you're on.
Mr. Mayor, I had two representatives that were here to speak on the previous items on the Skills Center for that particular item. They're in person to speak on that?
Sure.
Okay, we'll go first with Ms. Lupe Gomez. You can take your mask off and stand right down. You're all done. You can head right out that door.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today to speak on behalf of my support for the Skills Center here in the City of Perris. Some of you may already know me. I'm pro higher education, and we work together on some projects and hopefully somewhere in the future. However, today I come to you as a member of the community, as a resident of the city of Perris. And I also represent the supporting residents of Amberley Place. We're very excited about this project. As we know, and I did hear some comments that were made, that there are, because of COVID, some budgets have been cut for education. And with that in mind, and as much as that is a concern for future projects and funding, I would also like the council to consider as what can we do for the future of our future graduates, or even the graduates who just graduated this year. What are their choices? And with right now, as it is, if these budgets are cut and they are receiving less funding, that tells me that there's going to be jobless members out there. So what are we going to do for them? What options are we going to provide for them as well? So that's something that I really, really wanted to express to the representatives today, your leadership today for our city. And just have in mind that it is our worry and our responsibility to make sure that they have options, because we know the statistics and the percentages. Not all high school students graduate and go off to a 4-year college. So with that said, thank you so much for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you.
We have one more public comment.
I also have one more on that same item, 10A. Mr. Bill Perez, also Dr. Williams is here in case there's any follow-up questions to this as well. Mr. Bill Perez. Take your mask off.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's wonderful to be back in front of you all, Mayor, members of the council. I did submit a letter in support of the Skills and Job Placement Training Facility. We have been active. The stakeholders had multiple meetings over the past year and a half possibly. And I'm very excited to see it getting very, very close here now. And as you know, this will be the first sort of building project that'll be done in the community workforce agreement provisions. We currently have the bridge project going with Manco Alabasi, which is going well. So really hopeful that we can see this thing continue to move forward. It looks very, very close. So I was very proud to have been just a small part of this thing moving forward, and very proud and pleased that the city has stick with it and put an incredible amount of effort into this, along with all the stakeholders. And we still intend to work and eventually enter into a memorandum of understanding to provide the building trades, National Building Trades Apprenticeship Readiness Program through the MC3 Multi-Craft Core Curriculum pre-apprenticeship programs at the Skills Training Center. And that does allow young people or folks who are looking to get into construction careers, allows them to get a firm understanding of what a construction career involves, what each individual trade involves, how the apprenticeship model itself works with the registered apprenticeship model. So it's an educational purpose for very entry-level folks, just getting them ready to go into the registered apprenticeship program. So we're really excited. We understand that this is the region that can really, we can really play a huge role in. I don't want to take up all your time. I did submit the letter, so I won't recap all that. It's proud and pleased to be before you again, and I'm happy to be here for any way the building trades can support the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Hale?
Mr. Mayor, I have 3 email public comments to read for you from Open, so I'll begin with the first one. This comes from Ms. Cindy Anderson. Hello, my name is Cynthia Anderson Cadena, and I have been a resident in the city of Perris for 40 plus years. My family and I live in Emerald Gardens off Nuevo and Redlands. Over the years, the increase of fireworks has been set off in our city more and more. They have been going off since March this year and increasing to every single night and even during the day. It is not one certain area, it's all over the city. People have rocket launchers and these make tremendously loud booms. Tonight, for example, my neighbor's car alarm has been set off 6 times so far. Thank goodness he is at home to shut it off. I'm fearful for the animals, mine are petrified of fireworks, and the safety of our homes. If the fireworks to land on someone's house, it may catch on fire. It is to the point that we cannot go anywhere at night. We must be home and care for these animals and are absolutely amazing dogs and who are petrified of loud noises. It's not fair that I have to move from my home or have to relocate our dogs, or worse yet, put them down because they can't handle the fireworks. Calling the police is useless. However, maybe I should call them every hour of every day that they go off, and maybe something may happen. Fireworks are illegal and should not be allowed to be set off in our city, and I strongly ask that you, our mayor, and city council members help alleviate this issue. Thank you. I have another comment here from a Miss Ruth Abelar. To whom it may concern, I think it would be a good idea if we had a mural that celebrates our community of Mexican and Black people, something along the lines of together, we are better together. Together we stand together, we are united. I think it would celebrate the life of George Floyd if we put a mural up with his face and maybe handprints celebrating all skin tones of our members of our community. Together we unite should be a movement. Together we stand together, we overcome together, we can conquer anything together. Thank you. And then the last one I have here, this is from unnamed here. I would like for this comment to be mentioned in the live stream in light of recent events regarding George Floyd's death and the protests around the world in opposition to police brutality. Many community members of Perris would like to know what is being done in our own city to combat this issue. The budget for police services for the fiscal year of 2021 is $19,851,621, which is larger than last year. The second largest item is public works at $7,769,633 for comparison. We would like to know how the police funds are used specifically and if they are going to be cut for other items like community services, which would be much more beneficial. It is clear we need to redistribute funds accordingly. Thank you. And that concludes the public comments I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hale. Anybody else wishing to make a comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. We'll go to item 12, council communications. Councilman Rabb.
Yes, I'd like to first start off by thanking all the speakers for providing public comment, particularly Ms. Anderson's comment regarding the fireworks. It's been much, much more prevalent this year. We're not even halfway through June. And I think we need to work with sheriffs because a lot of these aren't even fireworks. They're like grenades or something that goes off really loud that are letting all the a lot of the cars go out. You might hear me. I'm out on my patio right now. You might hear one go off. So I think we really need to work with sheriff to get the word out. One, that fireworks are illegal in the city, and two, if we can have enforcement regarding these M80 type really loud fireworks that have been going off over the last few weeks. Want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July Independence Day. We won't have another meeting till late July, so I want to make sure everyone has a happy 4th of July. I just want to remind everyone to continually social distance, to continue to wear your mask when out in public, to be really cognizant of who you're around and who you're around with. I work at the County of San Bernardino District Attorney's Office, and 5 of my coworkers have tested positive for COVID over the last 3 or 4 days. So I'm actually not so much quarantine, but working from home for the next 2 weeks. And that's why I'm calling into this last meeting. So really be cognizant. I know the media attention is no longer on COVID-19 as it was a month or 2 months ago, but it's still out there. It's still contagious. People are still catching it. So just be cognizant moving forward. Also want to just echo the sentiments of some of the speakers regarding George Floyd's tragic murder. I just want to confirm that I did attend the protest that they had in Perris with several of my colleagues on the council. It was a peaceful protest. People were very, very concerned regarding the use of force, particularly to African American and Latino Americans. I think we are moving forward and addressing reforming the police. I think some people are going too far with defunding the police, but I think reforms are needed. With that in mind, if we could get just maybe some more insight into the budget increases with the county sheriffs that we're going to be seeing. And if these budget increases include body cameras. I know in San Bernardino County, many of the local forces have body cameras. City of San Bernardino has body cameras. Colton, a lot of the other cities only have recorders. So what would it take to possibly move forward with implementing body cameras with the RSO, or at least some of the officers in the RSO? So just moving forward, just want to wish everyone once again, happy 4th of July, happy Father's Day to all the fathers, since we won't have another meeting till late July. And just remind everyone to stay safe out there, continually socially distance, and just continue to exercise your American rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Corona.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to address Miss Cynthia Anderson's comments regarding the fireworks. She is absolutely correct, and I do agree with Councilman Rab. They definitely have started earlier this time. I get it. Some people were bored. They went off to Arizona and Nevada and Rosarito, and they came back with toys. But it's a nuisance for a lot of people, right? So I definitely see people defending it, and I too love fireworks. I love the sound of them. I like the lights of them. I especially love the smell of them. But I'm also considerate of my neighbors. Of a neighbor potentially having a newborn baby that's being woken up at the slightest sound. The pets who are trying to escape outside of their yard and then end up being lost or get hit by a car. So, on 4th of July, it's still not allowable on 4th of July. But I could understand if you want to do it on 4th of July. I totally get it. That's the day to do it. But June 1st on a random Wednesday, when people have to go to work, it's just not the time. So if you guys could just stop doing that. And also if the city could start sending out PSAs with the fire department and sheriffs as well. But it's just not good. In regards to the Miss Abelar with the mural, I don't know if you missed some previous meetings, but a mural is coming. It's been approved. It's been voted on. I've seen the design. It's going to look good. It's just with the whole COVID-19, I think it kind of put a stop on things temporarily because of a lot of our students were going to participate on it. And I've seen it. It's very multicultural. So it's going to be something very nice. So it is coming. Going back to my other communications, I do want to say thank all the residents who are still continuing to take COVID-19 serious. A few months ago, we had 0 deaths, and unfortunately, here we are at 7 deaths, people who have lost their lives due to the virus. So there is some good news. It seems like little by little, our numbers are starting to decrease. We certainly don't want another rise. But, as June 19th approaches, and June 19th is special because it was the day where our Riverside health officer said that those mandated efforts, like the face mask, like social distancing, would terminate at this time. But, however, I do strongly encourage all of our residents to practice those different things that are so beneficial to the health of all of us. So I do believe it worked. And, at one time we were 4th in the county, and now we're not even top 5 in the county. But I certainly don't want to go back up. So just please maintain those things. As Councilman Rabs did state, I, along with Councilwoman Magana, Councilman Rab, and the mayor went to a very, very peaceful protest. It was about, I think we counted a total of 50 people, so kind of a smaller protest. But, at the same time, Lieutenant Portillo was there to give encouraging words with regards to the incidents that happened. But whether you agree with the message or not, I think the whole city should be proud to know that all of those young people were respectful and exercising their First Amendment rights. And, I I felt proud of their how they comported themselves. I do got to bring up one issue too before I forget. I know a gentleman in my neighborhood has been saying it, and I know Getz Road is set to be improved upon soon, but there's some potholes that just can't wait. I mean, they're pretty bad. So it's right around the areas of the CR&R. So there's two decent sized potholes there. I too want to wish the mayor and of course my own father and all the fathers here on staff, Mr. Dunn and Kenneth and all the fathers in our city staff and all the fathers in the whole city of Perris. Just I want to wish you all a happy Father's Day coming up. If you're confused on or hesitant on what to get for your father, it's very easy. Just food. Just get him a nice meal. And just a hug, and maybe even just give him time to himself. Just leave him alone for a little bit, and I promise you he'll be happy with that. About the fireworks. Oh man, you know what? This event was just phenomenal. I want to thank the staff so much for putting on the graduation parade for our high school seniors. All the high school seniors were coming across. They were all happy. Our city gave them a gift, and just so many people have been telling me how happy they were. For my own mother was actually there, just on the parade trail, just watching it. She just was going on and on about how proud she was of the kids, and a lot of the kids had writing where they're going to go off to, and some going off to the military and some going off to prestigious colleges, but all of them just, in these times, it was just a very positive event. I really enjoyed it. Some people afterwards were asking, hey, how come I didn't know about it? It was all over social media. Some people were saying, hey, are you going to do this next year? And my response was, I hope not. I hope our city won't need to do it because hopefully we kind of get through this later on. But it was just a great event. So I do want to just tell all of the graduates, not just the high school graduates, but if you're graduating from preschool or kindergarten or going off to middle school or going off to high school, if you graduated high school, if you got your college degree, or even one person I know in the city of Perris, they got their doctorate. So I just want to tell you congratulations. Our entire city is so proud of you, and just try to keep our graduates in our thoughts. Thank you.
Spoken like a teacher. Good job. Councilwoman Magana.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to begin by thanking all those who expressed their thoughts during public comment, and I won't reiterate what my colleagues have made. They've touched and made some great points regarding what has been addressed. But also to add on to that, fireworks are a great trigger for our community with special needs, as well as our elder community. It's so many to think of. We've already mentioned pets and whatnot. So let's be considerate and mindful of our neighbors. They are illegal here in the city of Perris and in the county, so we will continue to run that campaign to keep our community safe in that regards. I also participated along with the majority of council in the peaceful protest that took place here in Perris for the senseless murder of George Floyd. I really appreciate Lieutenant Portillo for coming out and speaking and addressing the crowd early on. So these are incredibly hard and dispiriting times. So I like to remind you, as your council member, I am open to meet anytime and hear your response and what you demand from our council. And I look forward to tuning in to the scheduled A Conversation for Change event, where questions are collected from our residents regarding this topic. And of course, I like to encourage to be introspective even here at City Hall to address and normalize equality within the support of city staff. It's been brought to my knowledge that city staff has been told by management to not address council, but here I am calling out even our city staff who work day in and day out with our community as to how we can work towards a better city of Perris and to serve our diverse community. And just if you are hesitant of supporting the Black Lives movements, I strongly encourage you to become better informed and equipped for your journey to become an active part of eradicating racial injustice that's taking place So I am holding myself accountable to do better, and I encourage you to reach out. And I also want to add that I am tremendously honored to serve on a council with a group of individuals who are historically underrepresented groups. And I recognize that immense responsibility and recognize the need to do so much more. On a different note, I too would like to congratulate our class of 2020. The event we had here with City Hall, our parade was just phenomenal, and I'd like to commend our city staff and all stakeholders who joined in on the festivities. It was great to truly see our seniors enjoy themselves, given the current pandemic that we are in, where all of that is limited. So due to Councilmember Crona's ring, I will conclude my council communications. So again, if you have any questions or comments, I am here and happy to hear you out. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
I definitely agree. The fireworks this year have been ridiculous. They started about 2 months ago, and they continue each and every night. And through the neighborhood, many, many car alarms are going off. They're very, very large booms, and I mean, I'm a senior, and those booms are very petrifying. So I know what they do to animals. I know what they do to the elderly. We have a lot of veterans with post-traumatic stress. So please be considerate. They are illegal. You will be cited. I believe the fine is $1,000. So please do not do illegal fireworks in the community. It was wonderful to participate in the graduation. I think that was my first time actually coming out of my house for the couple of months that I stayed in because of the quarantine. But because they did release us to go to restaurants and beauty shops, I felt it was then time to come back. And even though I'm a senior with underlying health conditions, I'm trying to be safe. And I encourage all seniors to do the same. As we go to more and more places, we're exposed to more environments. So continue to practice social distancing, wear your masks. And I also just want to say that approximately 20 years ago, I formed the Cops and Clergy Network. And that was to make sure that there was dialogue between our community pastors and our law enforcement officers. And during that time period, I've worked with 7 different police chiefs. Each and every one of them always had an open door policy where they would hear the concerns of the community. And we had practice exercises where the pastors would actually go to Ben Clark Training Center and find out what it's like to be a police officer. So I think that's brought a great deal of understanding to the city of Perris. We did receive awards for being the best Cops and Clergy chapter in the whole Inland Empire. So I think that helps when you have regular meetings monthly with all of the pastors, a very diverse group of pastors, and our chief and our captain, Matt Sims, and our lieutenant, Mike Portillo, are there every month. And we just have open dialogue. Whatever they need to express, it's dealt with in an open forum, and you build the rapport. So if a pastor feels there's some incident with a member of the church, they can go right to the captain and make sure that it's resolved in a timely and professional manner. So I just wanted to add that to the mix because unfortunately the action of the police officers in Minneapolis was something that I think we were all horrified by, watching a man being murdered right before our eyes for 8 minutes and 46 seconds on video. It should have never happened, and unfortunately there needs to be some justice for that family. And that's all I have to say this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, to piggyback on everybody, the parade was a fantastic parade, and I do want to thank staff. Our community services department, they do always an outstanding job when it comes to community programs. So thank you all who participated and made that a very special event for our seniors that participated. Council, we all received a letter regarding the closure of Orchard Drive. It's now being moved to Orchard Drive and Citrus. So I'm going to ask staff to look into it, maybe provide a rough estimate, the feasibility of even doing it. And more importantly, if we can get a survey done by the community members, because we only heard from one community member, not from the entire neighborhood or block that's affected by that. So if we can get a survey done on that, it would be great to help us. The fireworks, just like everybody said, I have a dog that now has to sleep in my bed all the time because she panics every time she hears the fireworks. I've been in communication with our police. They're well aware of it, and we will be putting out the PSAs and what have you. I'm sure the Sheriff's Department will as well, and I know they're well aware of it, and hopefully we can start working on trying to reduce it. What baffles me most is you should know if your own neighbor's popping off. These are large, and to answer whoever was our councilman rep, those are what they call motors that are going off, the big, large boom, bigger, large type of fireworks. You got to know if it's coming right next door at your house. I don't have any in my immediate block, but you can see them 2 or 3 blocks on either direction. And if you see something, as we always say, say something and call the police and get it reported. The more documentation that the police, I keep hearing all the time, they don't do anything, they don't show up. They have to react to a radio call. It may not happen right away immediately because there are higher priority calls, but they will eventually have to do something or go to it. But it's also going to create data for them to start pinpointing all these different areas of where the fireworks are happening, and hopefully we can make a reduction of the fireworks that are going off. And that brings me to the next one, the BLM area, as they so call it, the A Street, where all the off-roading is going on. The same thing there. I'm getting a lot of emails and text messages and Facebook comments about why I'm allowing this to happen. Why aren't we doing anything about it? The police are aware of it. Code enforcement is aware of it. The protest situations that have been going on in the past few weeks have taken away a lot of our services that we were focusing on in that area. And as soon as the police department can get back into their normal flow, if you will, they will be concentrating again back on there to try to help curb that problem. Staff, I got some requests about pooper bags and receptacles. If we can maybe have our people take a look at certain parks, probably our older parks may not have them. I don't know if the new trail has any. But if maybe we can just conduct a little survey there, maybe we can start adding some more pooper bags and receptacles. What am I going? And okay, we're ready to call this meeting to order. This is our joint meeting of the City Council, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, Public Finance Authority, the Public Utility Authority, Housing Authority, Perris Joint Powers Authority, and Perris Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Perris. This Tuesday, May 12, 2020, 6:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Rogers,
Yes, here.
Councilmember Magana,
Here.
Councilmember Corona,
Here.
Councilmember Rabb,
Here.
Mayor Vargas.
Here. Somebody has a laptop on, perhaps we need to kill the microphone or...
I could do it, but yeah, I could do that.
Okay, item 3 is going to be our invocation, which will be led by our Mayor Pro Tem. If we'd all stand up and then remain standing for item 4, our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by our Mayor Pro Tem Rogers as well.
Dear Lord, we thank you.
Seniors. In addition to that, several of you mentioned the senior parade this past Friday, and I believe our IT department has a great recap of that event, including some great new transportation modes by our Sheriff's Department. video, Everett.
Super excited. Right. I'm so glad to be a part of that. Like,
On behalf of all of us at the City of Perris,
congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council.
Oops, thank you. Okay, that brings us to item 14, which is our adjournment. This evening, we will be adjourning in memory of Mr. George Floyd. May everybody stay safe and healthy and keep on practicing your social distancing. Good night, everyone.